I'm Adrian Ancliffe. I'm Head of Production, Logistics and Scheduling at Valent in Belper. My responsibility is aligned to all material handling within the facility, big concentration on safety for material handling equipment, but also for material being delivered to the line logistically, and also for the planning of the shop floor inside the plant. So I've known about A-SAFE for a long time, just from products that we've seen around different facilities, trade shows as well, conversations we picked up talking to A-SAFE by going to different events. Always sort of saw their product as top of the range, really, to be fair, and sort of stood out from all other products, not only in its sort of safety factor, but also in terms of its cosmetic appearance at the same time. So branding's quite sort of important to get that message across inside the plant in terms of what the barriers can actually do. We always immediately saw the benefits of using the RackEye product. Then when we got closer to the introduction of the A-SAFE and the RackEye, we had a conversation with A-SAFE again on site, looking at our requirements, and at that time A-SAFE pretty much were looking for test customers for the RackEye product. So we just jumped at the chance. We're quite an innovative plant, particularly logistically. We're always looking for new technologies and new things that we can sort of raise the bar on. And given the opportunity to run our trial within the warehouse, and we've been running that trial now successfully for 7 to 8 months, and we really want to increase the number of legs that we've got across the plant. So we actually look at potentially averaging about 300 to 350 locations where we'll increase the RackEye that we've currently got on trial. So we can only say positive things about the benefits that it's had, really. So once the guys saw some flashing lights on the legs, I think the communication really was on taking the literature from A-SAFE itself, so sort of the product specification, and then just talking through the shifts one by one in terms of what the RackEye trial and the pilot was really about. Again, it wasn't about trying to point a finger, let's say, at people in terms of their driving behaviours, but mainly just raise awareness. So one thing that RackEye's really done is hone in people's awareness of their driving, let's say, standards. So we've had a big thing on retraining and raising people's awareness, but also looking at the area itself. Is that a problematic area? Is the data we're getting from RackEye, because we get the really good data from the KPI reporting. We get regular alerts through the SMS messages, so we're always doing spot checks on the racking. If problematic areas arise, we're doing things about it. So we're talking to the guys and asking for ideas on why certain areas are causing us a problem or having more alerts than others. And sometimes it's just about layout, so looking at how things are laid out, positions of racks and locations, space availability. Other times it's been about the rack itself being damaged, be that the meshing, be that leg itself prior to the RackEye going in. So again, we've actioned that, and that's had a massive impact. But I think more importantly, I think it's all about the way the lads have accepted it, the way the team have accepted it. It's very interesting now when you walk in the morning, if an alert has gone off, the team are now coming in and saying, have you had a RackEye alert because it was me? Or so ownership wise, they've took real ownership of it. And they are hungry now, let's say, for the data that's coming out of RackEye. So every month when we put the KPI reports in, they're really interested to see if the trend's gone down. And they're really honing in on that, do you know what I mean, as a team, to say what areas are now the problem. And they're all coming up with good ideas on the way we can improve it even further. So we can't get it in quick enough to the rest of the plant. And looking at it from an overall team viewpoint, I think the culture that we're trying to adopt in the plant, we're trying to really sort of develop a high performance culture in the plant. I think from logistically, I'm very proud of the lads in terms of the way they've adapted to that. And by getting them involved early and making them aware of it from day one, they've really took ownership of it. And like I say, they've all got their own designated areas that they're responsible for. And they've really grasped it. They really understand the benefits it can do it. Again, it's not about blame. It's just about ownership. It's about accountability. And the lads have really, really grasped that in terms of improving their working environment. Because at the end of the day, it's their working environment, it's their equipment. All we're doing is just highlighting the risks to them. Sometimes it might be a bit of a competitive streak, let's say, within the team, but I think more it's about they take ownership, definitely take ownership. And they're really, I think as a plant from a safety viewpoint, not only with the A-SAFE products we've got across the plant, but I also think with the other improvements we've done and the awareness we've done with the drivers on forklift training has made the site a whole lot safer, massively safer than what previously or prior. I think we've come a long way in a short time in terms of the safety, and A-SAFE's really only added to that to help us do that. We get, like I say, we get the SMS messages every time we have an alert, which is interesting when you get an alert at 6 o'clock in the morning prior to arriving on site, but at least it sets you up for the day. But we use the monthly reporting, one, to look at the trends and analysis on the legs, so we can identify those problematic areas, let's say. And then the lads are using that data to sort of pinpoint on where areas can improve. So it's really getting us to think as a management team and as a logistics team on the areas that we need to maybe look at redesign, where we need to look at more safety factors. Do you know what I mean? Are we trying to get people to do activities in areas that just are too small? So it's really sort of challenged our own thought process in terms of why do we keep getting repeat events in certain areas. Certain example we had was purely where we had if we looked at the trend, there's a certain hot spot, which purely was down to the meshing on the racking being damaged, that was kept getting caught as there was taking material off the rack. So that came back as a feedback from the team. We've changed the mesh, now we've got no hotspot. So it's just awareness, the team sort of understanding what's triggering the impact or the alert, and then actioning it. So we very much try and drive a you say we did type methodology, so the lads will come up with the ideas. Do you know what I mean? We've run a sort of safety program where the guys generate the ideas, and then it's actioning those, the ones that are practical and feasible for us to do quickly. And we just see RackEye's giving us that real data to be able to do that, really. So without the RackEye, I don't think we would have picked up on that, because it was a local thing, so it was local knowledge, so the drivers knew about it, and it's been a long-term issue. So, but because we've been able to go, well, what's happening in this area? Why do we keep getting these certain hazards and alerts in this area? Straight away, the mindset of the team is, oh yeah, we've got a problem with the rack. So, do you know what I mean? It's improved communication and feedback back to us to actually action what the data's doing for us. And then we're triggering a number of events and a number of actions off the back of that data. So they always say data's valuable. I think the RackEye's really proved that data can be ultimately valuable to improve the safety on your site. We talked earlier about the data from the RackEye information. So we've used the events and the triggers and the data we get from RackEye to generate our own, let's say, heat map of the areas in question. So it's made it really evident and was really clear to us in terms of the problematic areas we had with the RackEye instances we were having. So going from a pretty much a sea of red, which was not down to bad driving, raised other issues about sort of space, what's in that area, the traffic that's going through that area, really looked at our warehouse design and racking design, as well as driver behaviour and driver training, to where we are now, where we're down significantly in terms of reduction in terms of our problematic areas. We've saw overall a 75% reduction in RackEye impacts over the 6 months that we've been running the initial pilot. What we also use, so from the self-generation of a heat map to the actual information we get from the RackEye system, there's probably about 10 reports you can get by the RackEye system in all different data sets. What we've done is actually configure it to what we think is relevant into our own type 4-boxer type information report. So it really communicates well to the lads the downward trend that we're experiencing, but also getting them to look at the specific areas where we are generating most of those impacts. So that information correlates back to the heat map, so it's easy to identify still the areas that we need to do the work on to improve.